A man came to Sword Mountain to choose a weapon, but the sword he found was completely beat up. Annoyed, he threw it away, only to have it stick right to his back. No matter how far he hurled the sword, it always ended up stuck to him. He had no choice but to put it back where he found it. But then the mountain suddenly cracked wide open. In that moment of danger, the man quickly pulled the sword from the stone. Using the friction between the sword and rock, he barely managed to survive. But the second he hit the ground, a woman with a sword came at him, swinging. He quickly raised his broken sword to block her attack. Even though he'd never trained in martial arts, his body suddenly became incredibly agile, and the sword felt amazingly nimble in his hands. He kicked the sword right out of the woman's grip, but just as he was about to take her down, another man appeared out of nowhere and sent him flying with a kick. The man then came at him with his sword. Knowing his own sword was pretty lousy, he could only keep blocking the man's attacks. The man put everything he had into one final strike, and his sword actually snapped in half, but the attacker kept coming at the broken blade. He quickly hid the broken sword behind his back, even using his own body as a shield. But at that critical moment, the sword behind him started going crazy, then suddenly slashed at the sword in front of him. The sword was completely out of his control. Even more incredible, the sword suddenly became razor sharp and successfully defeated the man in front of him. Then the sword started shaking violently and actually lifted him into the air, carrying him to the mountaintop. A blinding light appeared in the sky. The light caused him unbearable pain, but he forced himself to stick the sword back into the stone. Green light shot out from the sword, followed by countless swords flying out of the rock. A mysterious force lifted him into the air, and all the swords began circling around him. Suddenly, the green light flew out of his hand and shot straight into his body. All the swords returned to their places, while the green light appeared in his hand out of thin air. Now, just by focusing his thoughts, he could turn the green light into a massive sword, and this was the weapon he had chosen.